Good morning, everyone. To begin, behind the camera, there's a computer that is displaying our same presentation, the same presentation you're looking up here. So, to start with, we are going to talk about mobile apps for language learning. So, technology has been changing very fast, and as a consequence, smartphones have become a way of life. So imagine if you didn't have a smartphone and you had to count everything a smartphone replaces, like movies, video games, a camera, a calendar, a photo album, and speakers, and so on. So a big question is, what makes a smartphone smart? It's pretty amazing that all of that fit in one of these. So there's no denying that smartphones are both portable and powerful. For the same reason, learning with the mobile phone has caught the attention of language educators. So in this presentation, we are going to talk about the state of language learning, the devices they run on, and how they are developed. Since devices have become portable, they have been a subject of interest for language learning from the early 2000s to post-2007, when the iPhone came up with new capabilities that enhanced the use of learning. Palm Pilot was one of the first smart device producer with PDA's functions, such as SMS messaging, cameras, and voice recording. But what is PDA? The abbreviation stands for Personal Digital Assistants, a palm-top computer that functions as a personal organizer but also provides email and internet access. So it became widespread because language dictionaries, ebook grammars, and flashcards app began to appear. Although the capabilities of these smartphones are useful, such as picture taking, text messaging, language dictionaries, the author Goodwin made a study abroad program in Austria in 2002, and his main aim was that students needed to use their phones to create diaries. But it was a bit problematic as the text input system, the T9 keyboard, was too slow, prone to write with errors and short texts, very slow. So 12 years ago, George Yany, in 2006, he analyzed the state of mobile language learning. He reported that language learning projects were slowed down by, among other things, limited storage or limited memory, in other words, and slow internet connectivity. So then in 2007, the Apple iPhone came up with advanced features in devices. iPhone, Android, and Windows products had phones with new computer capabilities, larger screens, higher resolution, and more powerful processors. Moreover, currently speaking, many phones today have faster internet and Wi-Fi connectivity, enlarged storage with flash memory, which is cheaper, faster, and smaller with higher capacity. So they are capable of video capture and video and image editing, as well as voice recognition, which makes web navigation much easier. So, however, it is not just hardware enhancement of the iPhone generation's devices that hold the most promise for the use in language learning. So equally important is the software and the new opportunities that arise from mobile application development. So I leave you with my classmate Jorge that is going to explain to you the apps on rise.
I'm gonna start.
Okay.
Now we have to talk about apps on the rise. Software enhancements for greater usability of web browsers like high resolution screens and more powerful processors and more internal memory known as RAM, and faster internet connectivity, for example in mobile Safari, was able for the first time to access a display in full web on a smartphone device. I've talked about software, and we have talked about earlier about hardware, but what's the difference between them? A computer hardware is a physical device used in or with the machine, whereas software is a collection of code installed onto your computer hard drive. That's the only difference. iPhone introduced touch actions such as double tap and two-finger zoom that allows smaller text to be read or read? Read.
To be read.
Read. To be read. Other smartphones have similar browsers. In fact, most are based on the WebKit rendering engine developed by Apple for using the Safari. WebKit is an open source project only useful for web developers, actually for them to try out the latest web technologies. Other smartphones have similar browsers, and most are based on the WebKit rendering engine, but Apple introduced extensions to mobile Safari, like JavaScript, supporting which gives the dynamism and interactivity to a website. CCS provides the styles, colors, shapes and stuff. With these technologies, any page and app can be changed easily if you want to and make any modifications. Clary Siskin provided a nice list of apps for language learning. Among these iPhone and Android apps that are good, a number are supporting language learning. Not all of them are of a high quality though. Some travel guides such as Lonely Planet apps, some vocabulary development programs such as in Chinese, eStroke, Playco, Chinese Pod. Flashcard programs have also become more powerful. Anik, Quizlet, Word Reference, Conjugation Nation, and linking and mobile apps to web services or an online database such as Rosetta Stone, Babel.com or Hello. Clary Siskin's list of apps for language learning includes a category called repurposed apps. Many of these apps are created for children, such as 10 Musicians of Bremen, Google Translate and Talk to Me. We have to have in mind that not all apps are compatible with all devices. An app developed for Android is not necessarily going to be compatible with an iPhone, with an OIS. And they're mostly in English. Only a few are localized for other languages. App development is currently processing at a ferocious pace, and app developers are in high demand. Moreover, there is a little crossover for developing an app in one environment to recreating that app for other platforms. Development of an app is also dependent on demand. An alternative to developing native apps is to create instead a web app. This involves using more familiar and easier to learn HTML, JavaScript and CSS. We now have an example of a web app usage from the perspective of a student. This is a student of German. My second year German student have been using for the past year a simple flashcard web app I created, which is linked both from the Blackboard course website and from an open mobile friendly link. This allows the students to use the app both from the desktop browser, from their PCs, and mobile devices, like their phones. Something not doable with native iPhone or Android apps.
That's me.
Now we have to.
Okay. Okay, so to begin with, Outlook, tablets also on the rise. I'm going to talk about tablet. And to begin with, we have to understand that the introduction of the iPad made by Apple in 2010 was a great success. But this was not actually good news for apps developers, because now they have to work harder on trying to create the same apps but for a different system. Not because apps works in iPhone, that is part from the same company of Apple, they will not work in the same device as in a tablet or an iPad, because the operating system is different, so they have to adapt those same apps to a bigger screen with a higher quality. But the first app, that was created and it has a first huge impact to the industry was the app called Hello Hello that we also mentioned before, my classmate here. And well, later on more developments related with tablets and iPads increased obviously, and with this more apps related to language learning were created. Well, and in 2007, Agnes Kukuksa-Hulme and Leslie Child completed a comprehensive list of apps that were related to language learning, and they were trying to discover that these apps were innovative, creative, and mobile, but actually they were not. They were surprised because these new apps related to language learning were unoriginal, monotonous, and did not take full advantage of the new capacities of these new mobile devices. And actually most of these new apps were teacher-oriented and scheduled, and they did not have the option of 24/7 with anywhere and anytime. That was the idea. And flexibility for a mobile environment was non-existent from the apps developers, because they did not have a correct concept of how these language learning apps should be or should be improved, because use the mobility that these new devices had, and they were not innovative, as I said before. Next. And Daniel Reed, in one of his blogs, ESL blogs, described that he wanted to see in a near future a camera incorporated in one of these mobile phones or mobile devices that can translate text through the camera lens in real time. And this is actually possible nowadays, because we have this app that is called Google Translator that has an option where you can do this in real time. And even though there's still flaws in this particular app, the concept is great, is fast, and is very innovative. It is actually what researchers were trying to find. He also described ways to look up and display items simultaneously from different sources such as dictionaries, scanning, lookup, corpora, and even a personal bank for vocabulary. When I talk about lookup and corpora, these are apps related with a specific topic. For example, lookup is a web page and also now an application that is specifically for business with video conferences. So, yeah.
It's like Skype.
Exactly, but specifically for business and corporations.
Okay.
Specialized
It's a
in...
specialized type.
Exactly. With 10's ITS project, feature an intelligent tutoring system, ITS, in which the ITS will use context and location of the user to determine verbs to practice. This is something that we can actually see nowadays also in our Google Assistants or Siri or the Amazon Assistant, and that actually can, thanks to our location related with the GPS that is incorporated into our mobile phones, they can give us answers that are related with our environment. And the PDA, the personal digital assistant, was back then very limited due to low memory capacity. However, new devices that are at our disposal as users nowadays will make this concept more attainable and more attainable for us.
As a resolution, we can say that we completely and fully agree with the author. He proposes an historical view of the creation of mobile devices, but not only mobile phones, also the development of apps and how we as learners and humans have incorporated them to our daily lives, and we have used them also at the specific area of informal language learning.
So now if we think in personal experiences, we can see that technology has always been around in our lives. So this is because we are part of a generation that has always been exposed to the internet and technology, and inherently we know how to use it, and at least for recreational purposes.
Exactly. And for the devices and applications, apps that we mentioned during our presentation, we can say that they have existed during the majority of our process of learning. And as a group, we can say that they have been around us a lot, and then we have used them a lot also. Especially in our first year here in the university, three of us, used to have an application for a dictionary and translator of Spanish to English and English to Spanish. But now that we are more advanced level, we actually don't have that, and we have just a dictionary of English, and that
English to English, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's great. I think that's a good fact.
Improvement.
It's an improvement.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And well, now you're seeing our reference. And also, before you stop watching this video, I want you to enter to the link that it's in the box down below. No, below.
Below?
Below, but because it will be in YouTube.
All right.
And it is a Socrative game, only has 5 questions, and I want you to, a viewer, to...
I want to encourage you to
Yeah.
do the activity and have fun with it.
Yeah, just go and play, because there are 5 questions related only with what we just say and what we just talk about. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. And
Thank you
Thank
for
you for your
watching.
yeah, bye.
Bye.